All right, guys, I got bored of that. I was just fooling around. I got you guys with the double 30-second countdown, didn't I? All right, if you're early enough, you caught that joke. But how y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing? Hail Diagolon! Hello from Saskatoon. Yeah, guys, leave a message with where you're at. It's always cool to see where everyone is from. And yeah, it's a good way for us to connect. So, yeah, see if you know anybody, and especially if you're far out there in the boonies. All right, everybody. Wim, hello. Hello from Winnipeg. We got a jam-packed show tonight, so keep it rolling. Share this video out. I've got more than I could possibly fit in this taco boat. So, yeah, let's get this show on the road. Waiting, and go.
Welcome to Winnipeg Alternative Media, where uncensored truth matters. Our mission is information freedom. You're watching Prairie Truth with Todd McDougall and Mike Jarrow. Check out our latest merch at wham.live/shop. Help out our mission at wham.live/donate. Join the resistance, stay informed, subscribe to our newsletter. Find everything Winnipeg Alternative Media at wham.live. Live, uncut, unedited, when it matters. You are the tyranny immune system. Winnipeg Alternative Media presents Prairie Truth.
All right, good evening. A wonderful Tuesday evening here on the Taco Boat. What do you guys have to say? We are looking at a handgun freeze. We're talking about that. We're talking about the return to Earth wisdom. I think this is a movement, guys, that I've personally been involved with for quite a long time, and it's been growing. And yeah, I think it also accurately summarizes a lot of what we're doing here, guys. What the big picture of this whole time in human history, this minute little moment in human history that's probably about 2 to 3 years, maybe 5 years tops, where there's a great transition happening. So yeah, return to Earth wisdom, guys. We're going to be talking about that. And we're also going to get into the new internet and the new file transfer protocol that's hitting the interwebs, and how that actually ties in with the return to Earth wisdom, and how these seemingly polar opposite ideas actually are both benefiting, well, freedom and individual political sovereignty, as it always comes back down to here on the Talk About individual political sovereignty. And well, let's dig into it. So handgun freeze, guys. Who here has a handgun? Just kidding. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. But yeah, that sucks because, well, as we already knew, this is not about vaccines. This is not about passports. This is about the bigger picture, communist, socialist, World Economic Forum agenda. You know, War on the People 3.0. So yeah, it's wasn't anything that I would be surprised by, frankly. And yeah, I guess for me, I just look at it as, I'm just going to keep saying the same thing I always say, which is that self-defense is a human right. We have our Rittenhouse shirts on wham.live/shop. And yeah, come and get it. Well, at a certain point, I think you can buy a 3D printer for a couple $100 and you can buy, like 3D print them. So, I mean, it's absolutely nonsense. Oh, I'm wearing my me and with the Mega Nerd guys, we're going to get into my drawing tablet over here pretty soon. And I'll draw some diagrams with some of these ideas. That's a new thing here coming on the show. So we'll practice a little bit with that. So if you're wondering why I'm wearing half a glove, no, I'm not Michael Jackson. we're gonna do some drawing later. But yeah, so where were we? Well, humans have to be able to defend themselves, right? Like in Japan, I think they made swords illegal back when swords was like the samurai. That was their primary defense tool, and so they would make sure to tightly regulate it at one point who could own a sword. And while that, it was just a control structure. It was authority through authority for the sake of authority, which is not, that's feudalism, right? That's why I keep talking about neo-feudalism, authority for the sake of authority versus authority through competence. So authority through competence is when people don't have to tell you you can't own weapons because they're competent enough and they're not scared, right? That's what our government's signaling here. That's what Trudeau is signaling. He's scared. The liberals are all scared of guns, so they make them illegal. It's like, no, train yourself to use a weapon, and then you won't be scared of them. Like that's really what it comes down to. And the fact that these people, the liberals, the socialists, who basically are worshiping the state, they want to take away guns from the most law-abiding citizens, which is, well, obviously we know is a disaster because the criminals are always going to have it. So what we need to do is encourage every individual to train with weapons as much as possible. No gun safety, no proper storage. Take very good care of your weapon. Clean it. Make sure you have it stored properly so that it's safe and nobody else can access it without you knowing. You know, make the right steps for every single person who can use a weapon and use it in a safe and moral way to actually train and be able to do that effectively. So yeah, that's why I was saying before, like granny with a gun, like boom, you know, hey, come and rob me, sucker. Like, come on. Like, that's what I want, you know, what I would love to see my grandma be like, you know, just actually engaged in people kill people. Not, yeah. Oh man, there's a great meme here actually. I will see if I can I've got to be my own producer at the same time. But there is one of the best memes I've seen on this topic actually ever popped up here. So let me see if I can get that one. If you're not following me on Instagram, guys, hit me up at Mike Jar with 2 R's, 369 on Instagram. I've been doing some pretty cool stories lately too. So follow me on there for Instagram. And let's see if I can get this up real quick. But yeah, any thoughts on the whole gun freeze, guys? Give me a little bit of audience feedback. What do you guys think? Have you already stashed your guns underground, filed the serial numbers off, and threw them off, or accidentally went in a boat crash? Or are you a non-gunner? You didn't wear masks and you don't like vax passes, but you also don't like guns? Let me know. And I've almost got this. Shush, don't reveal. Yeah, don't tell me, guys. Some of these are trick questions. You never know who's listening, right? Like it's a weird world out there, really, and that's why, yeah, I think it's totally ridiculous. Well, didn't Trudeau at the beginning of the pandemic well, it wasn't Trudeau, it was the Privy Council. I said that pretty recently, that through the authority of the Privy Council, which is actually the President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief for the United States, but the Commander-in-Chief for Canada is the Lieutenant Governor, the top of the Privy Council. Isn't it the Lieutenant Governor or Governor General? I can never remember. My dyslexia kicks in and switches those words around. But everyone should have a handgun and know how to use it. People get so scared when I say that. They're like, well, I remember this guy was saying, oh, somebody was at Johnny G's or something late at night and guy pulled out a gun, you know, after the bar and, oh, terrifying, scary. Well, okay, well, why is that? And then I mentioned that, well, wouldn't it have been a different story if the owners of the restaurant had a gun and could defend themselves instead of like calling the police officers with their gun to come defend them? And he's like, well, no, it will just become a gunfight. And it's like, no, it wouldn't. Criminals wouldn't feel so emboldened to pull out guns in the middle of a late night gathering if they knew that half the people around them are armed and the store owners have their security guards with their weapons ready. Like, it's just common sense. Don't let the criminals have the upper hand. Oh, disarm people, make them a bunch of sheep who don't even, who look at a gun and they're scared. Oh, danger tool, scary tool. make it go away. Just delete them all from the universe. It's like, yeah, we really know what we did with even cannabis prohibition and drug prohibition. Still, you can't get them out of prisons. Like, I'm surprised there aren't guns in prisons. How they probably fit everything up there. Anyways, yeah, all gun owners should have good training. Yeah, exactly. And the Queen is the commander in chief, Ted. Yeah, well, thanks. I guess that's really in the first in command from her is like the lieutenant governor, and that's really the head of Canada, if you will. Whereas the Queen is like the head of Canada, but in Canada, the head of it is a representative of the Queen. So yeah, it was a whole sham, really, in effect. They're like, oh, well, we're just keeping this queen power for symbolism. It's just symbolism. Well, no, they just tried to ban a bunch of guns with that exact power without any democratic vote last year, and they're doing it again. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I fear we go the way of Australia. I feel like we have some influence from the United States that's kept us a little bit more gun savvy than our Australian counterparts, right? Like they maybe just weren't as connected to the gun culture, and we're like, oh yeah, give it up. We're on an island, then nobody will have guns. It'll be good. But it's like, nobody will have guns but the state. Yeah, and that's a big scary thing when you have a big old prison island with nobody's guns but the state. Like, come on, guys. Like, every person who can sanely and morally use a weapon should. Yeah, and I remember seeing a video. Oh, I had a picture here. Let me get this up. I remember seeing a video of a Florida where they're like, "Come to our schools, guys. This is what you'll be met with. You're gonna leave our children alone." And they made a video like that just to say, like, we take our kids' defense seriously here in Florida, and we spare no cost. We spare no measure. You come in with a gun to our schools, you are getting one between the eyes right away. The last thing you see is a couple of our officers pointing down like this. I'm like, yeah, that's what we should be saying. Not, oh, school shooting, take everyone's guns away. It's like, that's going to make the problem worse. It's funny, you know, if you're walking along a cliff edge and there's the edge of the cliff, you'd see it. You wouldn't just walk over it, right? Like, you'd be like, oh, there's the edge of the cliff. 10 people behind you. That's not the edge of the cliff. Keep walking. You got 10 feet more. You're telling yourself, no, that's the edge of the cliff. And you're just like walking closer, and everyone behind you saying, keep walking off the cliff. Don't worry, you won't fall. And then you're just like, oh, no, I should probably stop here. So you're like, common sense kicks in at a certain point, right? So I hope that happens here with Canada and most Canadians. But that's the funny thing about politics, is that you could literally be walking off a cliff politically, and all the people behind you shouting that it's a good thing will like mess with your mind. And it's not as obvious to just say, well, no, I'll fall down this cliff here, guys. Like, anyways, I hope you understood my little trajectory off the side there, my little rabbit hole about how politics is not as obvious and as day-to-day action, and that's why a lot of people fail at it, quite frankly. Okay. Where are the crazies? Okay, yeah, all right. We're going to move on here. I got to get this one meme up, which is glorious. If you have not seen this, give me 1 second. And then we'll move on from this topic. All right, here we go. This is a beauty. A wolf attacks a sheep, killing it. Other sheep see that the sheep was killed by teeth. Teeth are dangerous. All of the sheep agree to remove their teeth and turn them in. The wolf still has teeth. I don't know. I thought that was good. It's just logical to the point. Yeah, because it's all staged. Yeah, I follow Luke Rudowski as well, and I mean, there's other people saying the same thing, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I really think that it was at this point, it seems to fall in that direction. That yeah, the police were told to stand down, like so many situations, and that's something I said at that point, because the police have made their choice. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, the police have made their choice, though. And not even necessarily the police, but the legal system behind them has made the choice that no, police officers are not responsible for your safety. They are not responsible for your self-defense. They're not responsible for you making it out alive, so to speak. And that's why they've then, once that hammer came down on that judgment call, then that's why you see a lot of police officers just sitting on the sidelines in these things, because it's like, well, we really don't, my life is more important than your burning building and shit. So, yeah, it's like, well, these aren't, where do our heroes go? Where the people who actually care about our country go? Well, they all got disarmed and zombified, liquefied their brain with the doses. Give you more of those doses. All right, so that's a great point of degrading of competency in mainstream culture, because that was kind of the return to earth wisdom too. I was listening to some conservative people speaking, some of the conservative candidates, and as much as I am pretty happy with some of the conservative candidates are saying here in Canada, it's also kind of disappointing and disheartening to see kind of the same nonsense thinking, frankly, that I feel has got us here. Because in my opinion, it's actually the conservatives who are responsible for the degrading of society to where it is today, right? The degrading of the competency in mainstream culture. It's not the artists, it's not the wacky people who barely can hold it together. It's not the left. It's not they're generally speaking, they're more of the followers. Well, I mean, if a person's well balanced, they're a centrist, and they're going to be like left leaning and have right leaning ideas. I think be socially aware, socially liberal. Yeah, too many antidepressants. But yeah, the point is that I'm saying the institutions have failed us, and that's not even to say the government. That's, for me, I look at the church and I'm like, well, why did the church give up so much? To me, that's a more core institution than the governments, right? So it's like, actually it was up to the churches to maintain their individual political sovereignty and those political sovereignty of the constituents, but they didn't. They just say, well, church and the state are separate, and yeah, they are separate and they should be in institutions, but church and state mix in the individual. So it's kind of like what I'm really getting at here is that I saw one of the conservative candidates talking about, cannabis. And they're like, well, Trudeau legalized cannabis. And, I feel like God actually worked through the idiot at this point, because he doesn't really understand. Most of the people don't really understand the full depth of what cannabis does and how most of our civilization and humanity was actually based on growing cannabis. And then we started calling it hemp and industrializing it and divvying it up between the intoxicating hemp and the non-intoxicating hemp, or the intoxicating cannabis and non-intoxicating hemp. So again, it was like, here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Steven Crowder was arguing with Joe Rogan a few years ago about cannabis. And out of all of the stuff that Crowder's done that I respect and like and appreciate, and then talking about individual political sovereignty that he does, on the cannabis issue, he's all of a sudden saying, well, it should be up to the state to decide whether it's legal or not. And I'm like, that's exactly the kind of fractured mindset, that fractured leadership, I think, that we're suffering from as a culture, the degrading of competency in the mainstream culture. Because why should it ever be up to the state? Why should it ever be, legalizing, meth, fentanyl, hardcore drugs, like, again, there's a deeper conversation with Gabor Mate is one of my favorite, and then Jordan Peterson is kind of on that vibe too. But understanding how putting people in jail for their social problems, their addictions, is not going to make it any better. Like, charge people for a crime. If they break someone's property, they threaten somebody, they steal stuff, charge them for a crime, but let people do what they want with their bodies, even if that is self-destructive to some extent. Because that's the only way. Otherwise you're going to destroy them. Like, what are you going to do? Put them in an institute? Like, you'd be better off. That's what churches should be there to bind the communities, to bring people together. That's the spiritual institution's job. I don't care if it's Christian or what. If it's a spiritual institution in society, it should be about binding the community together in ways and making those events happen and having people enjoy each other's company and get to know each other, even if they are different religions or ethnicities. So that's the point of a spiritual institution, and hopefully Christian ones can do that. Yeah, well, dealers do need to be locked up, but that's another thing. It's like, okay, why? Like, for me, there's an honest question of, should making meth, for instance, be a crime? I mean, that's like it kind of tests my principles again. It's like, should making meth be a crime? No, I don't think so, but maybe. Whereas like weed and alcohol, like, come on, guys, like this stuff's been around for thousands of years. So that's why I tend to stick mostly on those topics, because the rest of things like cocaine and all of those things, I don't really get into too much. I have my opinions, but I'm also not, it's not as obvious, right? So I'm not going to bother uh, theorizing on things there when we've got a lot of work to do in certain spheres. So yeah, the degrading of competency in mainstream society, part of that was like prohibition, whether it was alcohol prohibition, income tax, or cannabis prohibition. Cannabis is such an important topic, right? Because of the return to earth wisdom that I've been talking about, which is the fact that we threw the most important plant that God gave us, literally, every green herb that he gives us for good. He gives us the one cannabis that's in the holy anointing oil, literally, Canos bossum, mistranslated into calamus. It is cannabis. That makes the most sense if you look at it physically, what cannabis does. We threw our earth wisdom out. We threw our connection with the land and with the herbs that God gave us out, and we lobotomized ourselves, quite frankly. The Christians were like, oh, weed's bad, they're told weed was bad from the government. So, and that's where I think it was Faytine who, that again, that's like somebody who I respect, and I think they're doing great things. Faytine, one of our conservative candidates here, I think, in Canada. But when she's talking about cannabis, and she's like, well, they were recommending to put the legal age at 22. Instead, they put it at 18. It's like, well, you could, and then she's like, well, it impairs motor skills early on. I'm like, when is someone an adult? If they are an adult and they can buy alcohol, which can kill them, then smoking a bit of weed is not a big deal. Like, it's just so debased from rationality and the message of individual political sovereignty. Yeah, we can decide as a culture, we can have a conversation about when does somebody become an adult? Is 18 too young? Maybe 19, maybe 21, maybe 25 is when they maybe 25 is the best time to have people be an adult. And then you can buy alcohol, and then you can buy weed, and you can go to the casino or whatever. I think maybe 21. I honestly think 18 is a little bit young for people to be classified as an adult. And so, but that's a better question. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I return to earth wisdom, the degrading of competency in mainstream culture. We want to have people who are completely integral on their inner workings, that they have principles that they follow and stick to. So what are my opinions of this? Just released today here in Newfoundland, Labrador has become the latest province to rescind its COVID vaccination policy, including workers and long-term. Well, that's awesome, Carrie. Thanks for the share. So they've rescinded it, which means destroyed it or retracted it, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's going to set a precedent for the rest of Canada, I think, is it not? Not super prepared with the news articles and the more local picture on things, guys, because quite frankly, I was like completely nerding out on the new internet and Web3 this weekend, and it was probably one of the coolest weekends ever. So, oh, by the way, this is my computer. I took a picture. This is what I'm facing right now, but I took a picture of it, so it's behind me, just in case you're wondering. Like, this is my little setup, my nerd station, and well, hey, bud, that's how I make the nerd stuff happen. But anyway, so I saw a posting, yeah, mid-level, and this, John, this is a great point, actually. I want to touch on this because making coke illegal makes the price of it go up. So what it actually does by making it illegal is it makes people, otherwise good, normal people who want to make a living and provide for their families, they get hooked in their mind by this idea of making tons of money easily, right? So that's part of why it's like, by making coke illegal, you're actually turning good people into criminals. That's always the result, right? Like, that's why I'm so fiercely against it, because if you seen a post today that they're decriminalizing, is that here in Canada, Chuck? But yeah, that would be good, because that's exactly it. Like, people who have addiction problems are not criminals. They have not hurt anybody. If they do, if they steal stuff, then charge them for that as criminals. but we need to help people who have addictions and help with mental health awareness, not locking them up. But yeah, again, to finalize there, that Coke dealers make way too much money, and that's a direct result of government policy. They are the ones who inflate the price of cocaine, making it such an appealing business to get into, when those people could otherwise would have possibly been running a home renovation business or something, and there'd be more money in that because there'd be less money in cocaine if it was legal. So I don't know if you guys are following me. I hope you guys are following me on that one. But welcome all. Hey, Crystal, Al. Hey, Al. How you doing? Yeah, this past weekend. Oh yeah, the disco was great, guys. That was a great time. It was fun. It was fun. I love your new setup. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's actually always been my setup. I've had it for a while. Yeah, treat the addictions. Well, and that's one reason, again, why it all comes back to, in so many ways for me, to cannabis. It's literally a political plant. Like, it's such an important political plant. And that's why I think when people are running for politics, and examine what they think about cannabis, because cannabis is earth wisdom. It's the peace flower. It's just, and that doesn't mean go out and get high all day, every day, but it's like, man, perfect point of this. There's actually people who are Christians called the Rastafarians who actually use cannabis for what I believe it's supposed to be used for, which is their sacred herb that helps them in their prayer time. So if there's a Christian group that uses this to peacefully to get close to God and have prayer time and to just it's an ointment, it's an oil, then why, like, yeah, exactly, and it is, it is, but it's like coffee. You can't have too much. You can't just drink coffee all day every day, right? Like, you'll just be wired and you'll have problems inside. So but anyways, the point is, Rastafarians exist, therefore Christians, accept your own people. Accept your own people. Why would you like put this giant fracture in the church saying like, oh, Rastafarians, like, yeah, they believe some stuff that's maybe not biblical, like the Exodus or that Rastafari guy that like, it's like whatever, but you can have your judgment calls on that. That's fine. But like, they still praise Jesus, and so shouldn't you be on their side? Shouldn't you love them at the very least? So throwing them in jail is not loving them. And that's what they would do in the States, even up till recently, in a lot of places. If you're a Rastafari and you're going around using your spiritual herb, or even look Rastafari, and the cops would bug you about it, right? I smelled weed. No, you didn't. It's just like, well, you look like you smelled like weed. Man, I could go on and on about this, but because it frustrates me to no end. But cannabis treats addictions. We know there's evidence of it releasing opioid dependency. I know a number of people who have released their opiate dependencies using cannabis, which doesn't create another physical addiction. So yeah, it's a much better option than using anything that the government would give you. Yeah, from one joint in the evening. Yeah, and heck, that's great. That's a great way to use it. You know, have a coffee in the morning and have a doobie in the evening. Like, it inspires creativity, and like coffee inspires that fire, that energy of the sun, of the day, of the Father. And then cannabis is kind of inspires that kind of moody, like, you know, spiritual vibe of the evening, of the feminine. And so it's a good way to have a day that's balanced out, right? Like, you're always going to be active in the morning and day, and then kind of relaxing at night. So that just adds to it. 100%. All right, guys. Well, that kind of summarizes that segment. Yeah, so in all of that, I think there was open-minded skepticism, which is a topic that, well, I like to put in the toggle boat quite a bit. It's, you know, you want to be skeptical, which is kind of paternal, and then you want to be like open-minded, which is kind of maternal. And you kind of want to be both of those in, well, equal portions. And quite a bit. You should be really open-minded, but you should be really skeptical. But keep them balanced. Be as open-minded as you are skeptical. And I think that'll help you out in life quite a bit. So it always comes back to that. There's always the yin and the yang and the virtue that is in the middle. Yeah, well, and John, we could get into DMT and, oh, Carrie, yeah. Oh, guys, I forgot to say, actually, Todd's taking the week off, so we may not be here on Thursday. I'll come on Thursday, and just do some more of this gum flapping that I do, and make some good vibrations happen, I guess. But it may not be that much. It may just be like I'll show up and just be like, hey guys, I didn't get a show going. But there is some pretty big things. Todd is taking the week off. He's taking a step back. He's got to spend some time with the family. He's the kind of guy who just works and works and works all the time, and this project for him is really just a volunteer side project. So as a family guy, he really needs to take a step back sometimes. It's good for all of us. We don't always realize it. We're just running on the treadmill and running on the treadmill. Sometimes it takes somebody else to poke you and say, hey man, when's the last time you had a vacay? When's the last time you took a week off and just recharge? Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. So don't forget that, guys. Well, good for Todd, but also take that to heart too. Maybe it's time that you relax a little bit. Maybe you're going a little bit hard. These are stressful times, so it's very easy to wake up in the morning and go, oh crap, am I going to survive this month? Am I going to die next week? Or is the power going off? Is the flood coming again? Like, it's just, it can be pretty exciting times. So I was like, take some time. Take some time. I think Todd wishes he was in Mexico, but he's trying to get his garden in too. So Todd might jump on for 15 minutes, but on Thursday, actually, I might poke him for that just to say hello to you guys at 7 o'clock for 5 minutes. But oh yeah, thanks, Chuck. I saw that earlier. I saw your message earlier. You sound like Todd now. Well, we're partners for a reason. I mean, we're about the same height. No, Todd's a good dude. Yeah, recharging is essential for the body, mind, and soul. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, guys. Well, you know what? I'm going to take no, I'm not going to take a break. I'll wait. I was like, I got the coffee hitting me. We're about to hit the next segment here, which is going to be the new internet. So I'll take a break. I'll take a break, guys. Give me 3 minutes, and I will be right back. All right. I'll put on one of these videos here. And I'm back. That worked out pretty good. All right. How about that for a speed piss? I mean, am I allowed to say that? Oh, wait, I'm the host. We're going to dye his hair ginger. How did you do a garden in this weather? Yeah, that's a good point. It's pretty sloppy out there. It's kind of concerning for the farmers, frankly. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about that. I'm like, we got to get these guys more viewers. Oh, well, thanks, guys. Yeah, you know what? Don't worry, it's going to come too. I've got some other projects too, including an NFT release, actually. So that's where we're going with this conversation too. So appreciate you guys' support. We're only where we're at because you guys like, share, and subscribe, and basically do the advertising for us. You're like, oh, guys, you gotta check out this show. These guys are pretty funny, and they like to talk about important stuff. I don't know, whatever you want to say is what you say, but share this show out. And also, okay, this is where I wanted to go next too, because this is going to be a little bit of 5-minute educational computer science stuff. It's not science, it's super easy, trust me, guys. But I feel like there is some confusion sometimes as to what a URL is. And I'm kind of a geek, so I figured I may as well kill two birds with one stone here and see if I can share. All right, guys, this is a little bit of an experiment we're doing right now, so bear with me. Here. We're gonna do. Okay, cool. So that's easy. That's easy enough. Easy. What is a geek? What is a geek? A generally eclectic engineer minded ninja. That's what a geek is, a generally eclectic engineer minded ninja with a K. All right, all right. Okay, we're just having a little bit of fun here, guys. This is a pretty cool little tool. I've never live streamed here with this, so this is a first. This is a first, and I think that there's going to be a lot more of this to come. So just feast your eyes on my sloppy writing for one more second as I pull up my phone screen and see if I can share my phone, which will also be another first. So we got a couple of firsts over here. Oh, it's oh, there we go. I think I need to do that. Sorry guys, I probably should have set this up beforehand. But yeah, so the biggest thing I wanted to talk about was what a URL is. So this might even be easier. I'm going to use DuckDuckGo. And then I'm going to just share that actually. All right, guys. So just as a quick once over, I think you have to be wearing a pocket protector to be. Yeah, I don't have a pocket protector, so yeah, this okay. So really quick, guys, what is a URL? If you ever have your app open on your phone even and you see something like this where you can search here, search stuff here, then that's cool, but up here is where the URL is. So if I ever say to you like go to wham.live/tacoboat1, you can just type it in there and it'll go right to the show. So that's kind of the point that I'm saying here is if you type that same thing in here, wham.live/tacoboat1, it's not going to go right to the show. It's going to go to a search, right? It actually does pull it up because it's DuckDuckGo. That's cool that the first search result is the video. But again, like the point is just that if you type the URL wham.live/shop up into the search bar, or sorry, the address bar up here, not the search bar, and then push enter, or on your phone go into it, you go straight to the shop. So that's something, I hope that is of value to some people. I know most people are like, Mike, why are you talking about URLs? Like, I understand, like this is the file transfer protocol, and this is it used to be www.whatever.com, but nowadays the www is just, nobody uses that anymore. So that's why it's wham.live/tacoboat3 is going to be posted today. So it's easy for you to remember. If you're like, hey, if you're going about your day and you bump into somebody and you're talking to them and you're like, oh, I know what you would, I know what you would love the show that these guys are doing, then you can just like type it in their phone or text them wham.live/tacoboat3, and this episode will be number 3. So you'll be able to get it directly without any intermediaries, not searching or anything like that. So again, I hope that's useful to some people. I may clip that or even expand that lesson later, but yeah, basically just knowing the difference between an address bar where you can type URLs and a search bar like DuckDuckGo where you would type in Winnipeg Alternative Media and try to find us that way. And in fact, Wham comes up second. So yeah, That's the difference between you and I. All right, guys. That's one of my little songs there. All right, all right, all right. Enough of you babbling, Mike. What's going on here? You're talking about URLs and search bars. And what kind of crazy nerdy stuff is this? I don't even want to listen anymore. I'm turning off the viewer. All right, all right. No, I'm just kidding. Not saying anything wrong, but nerds are smart. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's basically what a geek is. A nerd. Yeah, I think a geek is more of like if you geek out on Star Wars and you have all this like Star Wars this and that. I don't know. Then you're a geek. But if you're a nerd, you're like, I don't know. I really don't think there's a difference. Like, I'll be a geek. I'll be a nerd. I don't care. I love how you do all your different voices. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we got some more Leslie Moore coming up. We got some. You might be trying to change your light bulbs. You know, get those 60-watt light bulbs out of your house. Change them for some 15-watt LED light bulbs. But yeah, that I'll leave Leslie Moore. I'll let him talk about what he's doing next. But that may be on Thursday. Maybe I'll host on Thursday as Leslie Moore. Maybe not. Stay tuned to find out. Oh, it's fun doing this show, you guys, because it's like, is the world flat or round? Oh my goodness. I got into this on disco night on Friday, and I'll tell you what, guys, the world is more than likely round. Is it round or is the world flat? It's a world, it's a globe. It's round. It's spherical, okay? And you know why I say that? Because people who have flat earth theories, although they make the odd point that's actually worth considering, by far and large, they don't make sense at all. So yeah. Anyways, flat earth or round doesn't matter when you have Web3, and that's what we're talking about now, the new internet, guys. So, I think there's a lot of tech hesitancy. It's an illusion. Yeah, well, that's honestly, John, that's a great point. That's a great point. I love that because that makes me think it's like people say who are flat earth, they say, oh, well, the earth is flat and that connects us to God more. Like they're hiding our connection to God by saying that the earth is spherical, right? Like that's actually, so it's like they're saying, well, it's not an illusion. It's an illusion. If it's an illusion, that means that the principal thing in the universe is consciousness, right? It's experience. The principle in an illusory universe is the subjective experiencer. So you and I, the conscious being, right? So that's where it's like, that's where for me, I don't fall prey to the flat earth stuff saying like, well, you're more connected to God if you believe in flat earth. No, you're not. It doesn't matter if you believe the earth is round or flat. The fact is that yes, there was a death of God in the science, in the literature, in the rational mainstream narrative. But that doesn't mean that we need to believe in a flat earth, right? It's actually that, like I've covered this many times, conscious fractal holographic simulation theory, which we could talk about one time. Conscious fractal holographic simulation theory. So essentially, we are all one, everything is consciousness, and that God is the summation of all of our consciousness. So that's the reality that, God exists and we're one and it's all an illusion, but it's not round. Oh, got me there, Freudian slip. It's not round. No, it's not flat. The math checks out. It's round. So anyways, so Web3, guys, this is, oh man, it's almost like impossible to describe what Web3 is. So let's see, like Web 2 was company, servers, data, and you. Right? So the servers would be owned, they'd all be blinking lights and making beep boop bop sounds and doing general computer stuff. And they would, well, okay. They own them. So companies like Facebook is Web 2. Right? It's typical. It's like Facebook says, well, we collect your data so we can give you a free service. That's what Facebook says. And it's Web 2. And it owns the servers and it puts a house, it owns the building, it owns the servers, it's centralized. This is Web 2. See, I'm pretty dyslexic sometimes, guys. I'm like doing this live. I'm like, oh yeah, I sometimes write words backwards, but it still is the right word. So now we got Web 3, okay? So first of all, like when it comes to tech hesitancy, what I was talking about before is that technology like the internet has actually freed us in more ways than it's imprisoned us. And I say that because we have the information super highway where we could watch stuff in Australia happen live right now, So it's like made the world so much smaller in a way. Circle researcher, Rory Trait, circle researcher. Okay, I don't follow you, Ken, but yeah. World, yeah, neither. It's fucked. It's actually not, guys. Like that's what I'm saying. There's actually so much hope in this that I see. That's mind-boggling. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it in 15 minutes or less. Okay, so bear with me. This might be super technical, might be kind of nerdy, but like just bear with me. There's a bigger message here, and try to keep it as simple as possible. Web 2, servers are owned by the company. Web 3, you own everything. You own your data, you own your privacy, you own your money, and there's other decentralized, even here, everyone, and the services, Web3 is built here on the chain. You are a node. Yeah. Web3 is a node. The blockchains are nodes of connectivity between humans, right? So the chain, the interaction, everybody gives a little bit and gets a little bit. You give a bit of data, you get a little bit, or you host a bit of data so that you can take part in the internet. And that's where I was actually saying just before about URLs, www.address.com, and there's HTTP, now it's HTTPS:// and we've erased this, and we would just enter address.com to go there, and it will automatically put the HTTP, which is transfer protocol, I think. So this is the file transfer protocol. So what Web3 has done is it's created something new that's completely changing the internet called IPFS. So now you're going to start seeing things where instead of HTTP, you're going to see IPFS://. And then the new internet is going to be hosted on this file transfer protocol. It's called Interplanetary File Service, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, transfer protocol, exactly. So now this is what that IPFS is, where NFTs are stored, which is all in the center. It's nobody owns it. It's maintained by everybody giving a little bit of resources to it. So yeah, so this is what I was just finding so fascinating, you guys. It's pretty mind-boggling. It's uncensorable. It's made for the new internet. It's not censorable. It's private, but it's structured to be truly decentralized. So again, like, it means a lot to me who has like followed the internet's development from like 15 years ago, where I'm like, wait a second, the internet was never built to have money involved. I was listening to a good podcast recently where the people who were building the internet originally, Congress would say, yeah, it's uncensorable. Congress would say something like to the internet people back in the 90s, why would you ever want to use encryption? And we're just talking about basic encryption, which is a part of our daily internet use now, right? So just basic encryption so that you could encrypt something, send it somewhere, and only they could unencrypt it or decrypt it. That was only used by the military at the time. So the Congress would say, well, if you want to use encryption, you must be a criminal. Lo and behold, they're calling themselves criminals, right? Because they're the only ones using it. So it's interesting to note. But eventually, the code cracked, if you will, and the encryption became a bigger and bigger part of the internet to the point where we feel secure doing our banking over the internet. We feel secure making purchases over the internet. And that's because encryption is just pretty much standard in almost everything we do on the internet at this point. And some more than others. Sometimes it's just transferred between between you and the other person. But like Facebook, where they own it. They encrypt the data between, you and another person. If you're sending data to them or whatever, that's encrypted during transfer, but Facebook still knows the code to your data. So they know what's going on. They just don't allow other people to poke in to your data while it's being transferred. So it's encrypted there. That's Web 2. But in Web 3, everything's encrypted, back and forth, everything's encrypted. And so, yeah, that's a great question, Carrie. Yeah, I don't have any real updates on you. So, on our political prisoners. But yeah, that's I guess one of the other. Okay, so getting into that, why is this so fascinating too? What I was learning about crypto and the NFT space is actually so fascinating, really, because it's like, how do I explain it? It's the Wild West of government structure. So what's actually happening, guys, is that we're experimenting with every possible type of government that we can. And that's in the crypto space, because if once you have NFTs, then you have DAOs, DAOs, and that's what we're looking at here is a nouns.wtf DAO that's bootstrapping the community and making there more utility, which is essentially all of a sudden it's like the Wild West where we're practicing different government experiments. How do things run if we make a government structured like this? How do things run if we make a government structured like that? Here's the pitfalls here. Here's the pitfalls there. Let's see if we can compromise and make something new. So that's one of the most hopeful things I would say, guys, is that we're actually we're actually experimenting with all kinds of different governance. And I see it coming, guys. I can't even quite put into words what is happening here, but it's essentially making it so that you as it's in the not too distant future, it's like making it so that people, it's literally, oh, here it is. I wrote this down earlier to summarize what I'm trying to say. Reputation is becoming currency again, and we have sound money again. So what that's doing is it's creating and it's spurring on a cultural renaissance where individuals are being rewarded for being genuinely themselves. So that is the good word, guys. That is one of the most incredible things that I see happening in real time. And stay tuned, guys, because you're going to be early adopters in this NFT project, and we're going to the moon. This is the Return to Earth Wisdom movement. This is the new internet. So, yeah, again, that's reputation is becoming currency again. Your reputation now, your identity is your currency. The deeds that you store in your reputation is becoming currency again. And that's beautiful. And that's also possible through sound money. And that's the other side of it. If we look at the last 100 years, we have been wrecked by our own governments because of totally crap money policy. Yeah, John, I have a NFT project, a generative AI NFT project that is coming. It's beautiful, high quality images, profile picture, generative art series that is coming. And it's also going to empower everyone. It's going to give back democracy as well, because the DAO that we create is going to actually be interested in your opinion and make decisions based on your opinion. And yeah, can afford it too bad. Oh, are you talking about crypto, Carrie? Because yeah, I guess again, that's part of where it's like people don't really understand what's actually the valuable things in the crypto space is being involved in the community. It's literally like projects are taking people. Yeah, John, you're gonna be an early adopter. Don't you worry, you'll get some whitelist. But that's the point. It's guys. It's oh man. It's what it's doing is it's enabling people who have no money to get involved with their community by talking and helping people. If you have time and no money, well, you can get involved in the community and be a part of it and become a pillar in the community in a project that's just coming off. That would be like basically blue chipping your way into like getting yourself involved in Microsoft early on. If you find the right project and you're just there being a helpful, happy person who's like helping people and having good conversation and talking about life in the Discord or whatever community, then you're rewarded for that. You get whitelist tokens, and then you can buy their NFTs cheap, and then they go up because are the key. We the people establish, they are the key to establishing parallel systems. But beyond that, guys, they're giving people democracy back in a way that was never imaginable. They are giving people sound money again. We've had crappy money, broken money that would actually encourage people to spend outside of their means for like at least 50 years now, at least 20 years, 25 years for certain. It's been almost hyperinflating, but like 50 years since it was off the gold standard. If you look from 1700 to like late 1800s, that 200-year period, money was much more sound. And if you stored your money, you just put it under the bed, 10 years later, it would be worth more. It'd be usable more. Now, if you took $1,000, put it under your bed, in 10 years, it'd be worth like 700, if that. Like it would lose its value. So sound money and reputation is becoming currency again. So yeah, guys, just keep that in mind as we go forward. I know it can be very hopeless at a lot of times, but there's also people who are waking up, realizing that we need a republic, we need our own money, and we need a way to vote and exchange money internationally over the information superhighway that's not controlled. So it's happening. That's why some people say, well, was Satoshi, the guy who made Bitcoin, who's anonymous, is he a alien? Did the aliens just come up here? Woo, Bitcoin drop. Boop. You fucking apes, hurry up and get your shit together. Here's Bitcoin. Boop. I don't know. I mean, it's possible, right? I think Satoshi was probably a human, but like he could have been an alien. Could have been an extraterrestrial shutting down the nukes and saying, get your act together, guys. Come on. Here's some money that actually works, you idiots. I don't know. So I have a question that is totally off topic. I do get into a laptop that has BitLocker, which is a Windows Pro feature. USB fresh install. BitLocker isn't allowing it. I have my original key, does not work. Microsoft site, no key there. That is a deeper question. This is not a tech help show. I wish I could help you. I usually would, but yeah, it's that's something you'd have to contact me. And very busy, quite frankly. So, I would be happy to help, but I'm also like in the midst of trying to launch my first NFT project, and the learning involved in that is just so enormous too that I'm like, okay, give me another 2 or 3 days and you'll start to see my project materializing in front of your very eyes. And all of you guys are going to be important stakeholders in it. So yeah, Laura, just smash it. If it's old enough, you're probably better off. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably fixable, but you might need to actually hire a tech guy and get some help there. So yeah, thank you guys for joining and for watching this wonderful Tuesday evening. You all are lovely, lovely human beings, and I look forward to continuing the conversation next time. All right, guys, I'll stay here for a few more minutes. You got any questions? Any audience engagement? What else we got? What else we got? Other than laptop smashing. Great show tonight. Well, thanks, John. Yeah, we got a couple of people who are real diehards and are sticking around. But I think that the more and more I keep doing my thing, my audience will continue to grow, and people who like what I'm doing will stick around and will share. And then more people who like what I'm doing will continue to build. And yeah, we're just building here, guys. We are just building. Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Thanks, you guys, for watching. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, I hope you got some value out of it. We'll see you on the Shadow Show. Yeah, have a good one. All right, guys. Yeah, no giveaway today, but maybe we'll do a giveaway on Thursday. I'll prepare myself a little bit more with that. And yeah, we'll have some fun with it. It was fun last time with that new gadget we got going on. Yeah, thanks, Gary. Thanks, folks, for tuning in, for staying part of the conversation. And yeah, get ready for some new art that's coming at you. And there's going to be free NFT drops too. So again, it's kind of one of those things where we're trying to empower you as the community, whether you have money or not. In fact, it's mostly like we want people who don't have money, because we realize that there's so many people who can't afford to purchase extracurricular things. So just by showing some engagement in this community that we're building, you will be able to get a free stake in the NFT collection that'll be releasing. Yeah, and so just by holding it collectively, we can all go to the moon. As it were. All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and we sleep well when you get there, and plant your gardens while it's kind of sunny outside, and yeah, we'll see you on Thursday.
What are you talking about there? Look at this here cauliflower. What? What are you looking at me like that for? You don't like vegetables? Come on, it's...
All right. That's enough of that one. That's getting stale. But come on, eat your cauliflower, get your nutrients, boost your immune system. That's the only kind of boost you need, right? Go and get boosted with some delicious vegetables. All right. Have a good night, guys.